Welcome back, everyone, to the Tiny Nimble Gamecast, which is a new podcast-style show with me and Tiny from Tiny Little Games as your lovely, lovely hosts. Hopefully, this is going to be a monthly show, but in case you're not subscribed to Tiny Little Games yet, make sure to do so right now. You can pause the video, head over there. He covers mobile games just like I do, and I'm sure that you will love it over there. And here's a really good reason for why you should head over there right now is that the second episode of this podcast, of this Gamecast, is gonna go up on the Tiny Little Games channel. So definitely head over there, hit that notification bell over there as well. And now this show is gonna talk all about new releases, industry news, the occasional rant, maybe, Tiny, hopefully, sometimes.
Maybe we'll have a tiny rant in there.
Oh yeah, I like that. A tiny rant. We'll have a tiny rant from Tiny Little Games. We want to have a few recurring sections on this show, and the first one is to talk about what we've been playing a lot right now. So, Tiny, what are you playing these days?
Okay, so I've been playing, me as a mobile gaming channel, I'm sure Nimble, you have the same thing. We play a bunch of different mobile games. But there's some games that we just like to go back to every once in a while, whether we wake up in the morning and it's the first thing we do. But right now, I've been playing a lot of Brawl Stars. Did a review about it a while back. I think you played it too, right, Nimble?
I did play Brawl Stars. I liked it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I played it actually a very long time ago because it soft launched in Denmark. So I was lucky to be able to play it before many other people in other countries, I think. Liked it back then, liked it during its release as well. It's a great game for sure.
Which is my jealousy when it comes to soft launches in other regions, because here in the States, we don't get all the games all we want all the time.
No, you know,
Brawl Stars?
Yeah, Canada gets them.
Yeah,
and then
Canada gets them.
Denmark, Sweden, Finland, I think.
Yeah.
Philippines
usually get it. Yeah, Philippines usually get it before us, too.
The Philippines.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Brawl
Philippines
Stars,
listeners.
Yes, definitely. Shout out to the Philippine listeners. Brawl Stars is a good one. I've been playing every once in a while. Play a match. I've been playing some Elder Scrolls recently as well. We are going to talk more about some. Yeah, we are going to talk more about some Elder Scrolls Blades. And then this is not mobile game related, but I am playing the Division 2 right now.
How could you?
I know, right?
A non-mobile game.
A non-mobile game on a mobile gaming podcast.
This is not a good look for you, man.
Yeah, I know. I know. I think I'm transitioning over here.
No.
So to a PC gamer, right?
Yeah. You're playing it on
Don't
PC?
tell anybody. Yeah, I play it on PC. Yeah,
Nice.
I basically upgraded my PC recently, so I feel like I'm a cool Uber PC gamer.
Nice.
So I've been playing a lot of that, but other than that, yeah, I'm working on a review for another game that we have coming out, one of the new releases. But besides that, that's what I'm into right now. What about you, Nimble?
You gotta tell me. Sorry, is there a name for that new release, or do you want to keep it a secret? Like, what's that new release?
No, it's in the new release section we have coming up.
Okay.
So
we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
By the way, episode 1 of this podcast, not meant to be perfect. We're just kind of gonna go along.
No.
Hopefully, you guys are gonna enjoy that format. Hopefully, over time, by the way, we're gonna be able to add some new sections as well. So if you have suggestions, just leave them in the comments section. But the games that I've been playing this week, last week, recently is Tiny Gladiators 2. I've been playing that game so much. I love it. It has PvP, which I think is real time. It's really hard to tell if we're actually fighting bots or not, but regardless of bot fights or real fights, which is, by the way, a topic we could talk about as well at some point, I just love the game. It has single-player campaign, and it has a multiplayer PvP. I'm just going to call it actual PvP for now. And I'm in one of the biggest US guilds in there. I just checked before this recording, we're number 7, and then number 6 in boss fights. There's a boss fight you can defeat as a guild, and we're number 6 there, ranked 6 in the US. So I just have to brag a bit about that because I'm usually really
showing off over here.
Yeah, no, but I had to say that because I'm so horrible at mobile games. That's the secret. I don't even know why people are like watching me talk about them. I mean, I really suck at mobile games most of the time, but this one is actually, it's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I covered it on my channel as well I think 2 weeks ago. And I've just been playing it ever since then. It's the first thing I boot up in the morning. It's the last thing I play the game before I go to bed. I get back to the game every 3 or 4 hours throughout the day as well. I'm kind of addicted at this point, and I think that addiction is probably going to burn out. But for now, I'm just really, really loving the game. I haven't spent anything on it yet, by the way, because just I know people are going to ask about that probably.
Right.
But I haven't spent a dime. I have been tempted, though. There are loot boxes, so straight off the bat, some of you guys listening might not enjoy that. we are going to talk more about loot boxes, I think, when we get to the Elder Scrolls Blades. But Tiny Gladiators has loot boxes. It's not that bad, though. Let me just put it like that. I've been able to enjoy the game as a free user just fine. Although the people in my guild definitely spend money on the game, and quite a bit, I think. But yeah, so I've been playing Tiny Gladiators too. I've also been playing Dead Shell, just because Nimble Wife keeps playing that over and over again. And so I kind of get back to the game as well every once in a while.
Dead Shell. That's the one with the, what is it? The guy that looks like Halo? It's like a Halo character or something on there?
Yeah, maybe.
It's a roguelike, right?
It's a roguelike. Yeah. I don't know how to really describe it in a good way. It has a sort of a sci-fi, top-down sci-fi. You're running around from room to room, defeating aliens. Yep. And
I played a little bit of that one.
I mean, I like it. I mean, it's a really old game. It's from back in 2015, but I think it still kind of holds up. Haven't spent anything on that either. And then I've been playing a bit of a really new game called Aftermath that is a top-down shooter. I wasn't able to find it, by the way, on Google Play, and I don't think it's necessarily out on iOS as well, but it's in soft launch, and I was able to download it because I do use an Android device, and I was able to download the APK off of a third-party website, which, by the way, be careful when you do that, guys, but...
We're not condoning that.
Not condoning that,
but we all do it every once in a while.
But, I mean...
I'm looking at it right now. It's on the Google Play Store. Aftermath Online PvP Shooter.
Yeah, but can you download it, though?
It says it gives me an option to install it.
So that's because so this is a game where you can play it and I can't, though, because you're in the US.
Oh, the US wins, huh?
Oh man, I thought we were winning together with the Philippines here in Denmark. But yeah, Aftermath. So I'm liking that game, by the way. There's maybe we'll see when this podcast releases. Maybe there will already be a video up about Aftermath on my channel. But if not, a video is definitely coming up
nice.
Very, very soon.
Downloading it now.
Be sure to do so. It's really fun. Yep. We should be able to play a match in that game as well. I think it has a friend system we can play. So it's an online shooter, online top-down shooter that I've been enjoying quite a bit. So we also wanted to talk a bit about some of the new releases though, because Dead Shell from 2015 is an old game. New releases though. You had a list of some new releases, Tiny.
Yep, so I got a list of some new releases. Now, these aren't going to necessarily be like the newest of the newest games. I think some of them might be a week or two old. Some of them might be games that have actually come out of a soft launch or region locked, so they're actually finally available. So we're going to have some upcoming games. First up, we have a game called Cultist Simulator. I don't know what that is. I think at first I was thinking, oh, you simulate being in a cult.
I want to play it.
But when I looked it up, it looks like it might be a card battling type game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it looks like it might be a card battler with like cult undertones or cultist theme. It looks pretty cool. It is a premium game though. We could talk more about premium games later as well. I would like to see more premium games in the mobile market. So Cultist Simulator is one of them. Next up, we have Valkyrie Anatomia. I don't know if I said that right. I always say those wrong.
I'm so glad I didn't have to pronounce it, though.
Yeah. So what this is it's basically one of your basic gacha RPG type things where, they auto attack type of scenario. At least that's what it looks like to me. And it's a prequel to another game. What was the other game called? Valkyrie Profile or something along those lines. If that game sounds familiar to you folks. So this is the prequel. So if you want to know what happened in the Valkyrie universe before, I guess you can find out. Next up, we have, this is the one I'm kind of excited for, Afterburner Climax. What Afterburner Climax is, it's basically like an arcade, I guess, what's that game that came out where you fly the airplanes or whatnot? I can't remember the name, Beyond Skies or something like that.
Oh, I'm loving this. I'm Googling the name of the game right now as you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Afterburner. Oh, it looks so great. Oh,
yeah, it's like it's in the Sega Classics collection, so it was an older Sega type game. And it looks fun. It's basically just a jet fighter game, arcade jet fighter game.
Yeah,
so that one looks cool. And then next up, we have one I'm actually working on a review for right now, which is Full Metal Monster.
Full Metal Monster.
Like that. Full Metal Monster.
Yeah.
Oh, it's monsters. It's plural. Sorry, there's more than one monster. Basically, you take your monsters and you equip them with all kinds of gear, robotic gear, and you battle it out. They got dinosaurs. They got all kinds of other creatures in there that you could fight with. So that looks pretty interesting. So I'm going to work on a review for that one to see how that one goes.
Nice.
And then the next up is what Nimble was very very excited about. He had to actually add it at the very last minute. Nimble, I'll let you take this one away. What's going to be coming out soon for us?
Very soon, ladies and gentlemen, Durango Wildlands by Nexon.
Woo, woo.
Finally releasing. I mean, after...
That was me being excited.
Yeah, I think it has been soft launched for nearly 2 years at this point, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, I feel like it's been a long time.
I remember playing it like 1.5 years ago or so, because it actually soft released in Denmark. Right, so I was able to try it out. But now it seems that the full release is actually coming to Canadian players, people from Australia, and once again, the Philippines. So congratulations, I guess, to those people. There's been a lot of wait time for this game. A lot of people have waited for a really long time to be able to play it. But it is now out already in those 3 countries. And I'm guessing this means that it will be coming out elsewhere really, really soon as well. I mean, I'm looking at the official Facebook page, and their post about the release in Canada, Australia, and the Philippines has just shy of 1,000 comments and over 26,000 views. So that's quite impressive. And I think a lot of people are gonna like this game. It's a survival game, by the way, for those who don't know about it. So it's a survival game. It has dinosaurs as well, by the way, just as Full Metal Monsters has.
Yeah, it's going with a theme here.
Yeah, there's a bit of a theme here. So monsters are back. Dinosaurs are cool again, apparently. And or maybe not. Maybe Nexon is too late about this one, which is actually an interesting discussion. Like, are they too late? Yeah. Because we had that other survival game release, which I forgot the name of right now, but there's another one that I covered relatively.
Last Man Standing or something, or Last Something Standing, or
yeah.
We play so many games with so many different generic mobile games that I kind of forget sometimes.
It's horrible. This one is by NetEase, by the way. I remember playing it not too long ago. I'm looking at my own channel right now. What's the name of that one?
I'm trying to remember. Durango Wildlands, I did a video for it probably a year ago. I downloaded it from a third-party site. Again, we're not condoning this, just because I wanted to get a chance to play it. Yeah. And I enjoyed it almost more than the one I think you're talking about.
Life After.
There you go.
Yes. But the question is Nexon, are they too late, or do you think there's more room? Because there's also Last Day on Earth Survival, which is insanely popular. Like, that one has a lot of downloads, lots of YouTube videos.
About.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, the market gets saturated so fast and so easily. So I feel like they could be a little behind the curve on this. I mean, the dinosaur aspect is good. It's not zombies. It could be be zombies, and we would just be playing another zombie game. We'll have to see how it sticks, with the community and whatnot. Apparently, there's a huge community already behind it.
I remember liking it, like Durango Wildlands. Yeah. I remember really liking that. But I know that Life After has been really popular as well. My video on it did above average as well. So I think people are searching for Life After as well. But maybe it just means that, maybe there's just room for both of them. Who knows? Probably.
Yeah, there could be.
But I mean, Nexon
there's always room for dinosaurs in my life.
Yeah, there's always room for dinosaurs.
Yeah, there's always room for dinosaurs.
But yeah, it's interesting. I can't wait for it to release. I'll probably play it again just because I feel like so much must have changed since they waited 2 years. And if I played it about 1.5 years ago, a lot has probably happened since then. So I may have to revisit it, actually, Durango Wildlands.
Yeah, I was thinking once it released, I was going to play it again, too, just to see what the difference is, the changes they've made or anything like that.
So, by the way, if you guys listening have any new releases that you're looking forward to, be sure to leave those in the comment section as well. I mean, both Tiny and I are always looking for new games to play, I'm sure. Yep. So we need those recommendations. Give us some great suggestions if you got something you're excited for.
Make our job easier and just recommend it to us so we don't have to go search for them.
Yes, exactly. Actually, I've got a few mobile gaming news that I wanted to talk about as well. Not so much new releases, but more so things that kind of touch the mobile gaming space. The first one is Razer, who, if I'm not mistaken, you are using a Razer phone, right?
I am using a Razer phone as we speak, yep.
And you're liking it?
I like the Razer phone. I did a video on it, and I enjoyed it for what it was. There was some lacking features when it came to the camera, but overall, when it comes to mobile gaming on this phone, like, it's great. The screen is 120 refresh rate, 1440p, all that cool stuff. But like you said in the news story, it looks like Razer is going to discontinue making phones.
Yeah, maybe
I know they
at
made
least.
A number 2.
Yeah,
that's a big maybe, right?
I think it's a big maybe. I think maybe they're just like they made that partnership with Tencent. I think for optimizing Tencent games specifically for the Razer phone. So things like PUBG Mobile, Arena of Valor, Fortnite even should be running more smoothly on Razer phones in the future, I guess. And in that article, they mentioned potentially stopping or waiting. It wasn't really clear, so like maybe they're gonna stop making Razer phones, but I think probably they're just gonna delay the third one. Like they've made a first and second one, right?
Yeah. They made a second one. They're going to do a third one, and it sounds like they're either stopping or delaying it. So the biggest thing that I read one of these articles, the biggest thing I got from them, from what they said, one of their statements was that hardware isn't the issue with the hardware of the phone and what it can do isn't the issue. It's the software, basically. So what they're saying is not a lot of games are optimized for these like gaming type mobile phones. And that's kind of why Razer was partnering with people so they can try to make these games, play better on their phones. But the market as a whole, I mean, all the games released on the App Store, Google Play or whatnot, aren't taking advantage of, 120 refresh rate, high resolution, stuff like that. So Razer's, I don't want to say excuse, but Razer's thing was, the software isn't there. So we're going to delay the hardware so the software can catch up. So is that Razer's fault for being ahead of the curve? I don't know. Is it game developers' fault for not, pushing the envelope?
Yeah, partially the game developers, I think. I mean, obviously you can't expect indie studios, small game developers to optimize everything for every smartphone out there, and both for Android and iOS and all the many Android devices out there. But with that said, some of the really big ones, I do kind of expect them to optimize things better. I mean, I was playing, and we're going to get to this really soon, but I was playing Elder Scrolls Blades, and
yes,
not to get into the discussion about that game just yet, but I was playing that, and it lagged a lot on my Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, and it made me think that I feel like the graphics aren't necessarily that great in Elder Scrolls Blades. I mean, I don't feel like they're really pushing what's possible on mobile, like Life After did, Afterlife. Life After. That's the name. Life After really tried pushing what's possible on mobile, I feel like, but the Elder Scrolls Blades didn't, and yet the Elder Scrolls Blades ran like crap on my phone. and it ran.
I can agree to that. Yeah, it didn't seem to be well. I mean, we gotta see. It's still in early access, so apparently,
but my point is that maybe they're right about software being the limiting factor and not so much hardware. I think to some extent they're probably right about that.
Well, and then we also have to take into consideration a lot of these developers, they're making these games so they can run on, multiple devices. I mean, we're talking devices that might even be 2 to 3 years old.
Yeah.
So I could see the developer's standpoint of, not push it too much so more people can play. But I also see the standpoint of, it would be nice if you have this high-end device that you pay a pretty substantial amount of money for, and, your game can't look as good as it probably should. Because like you said, they can push these games, I think, a lot farther than what they actually are. So, but yeah, that's Razer's standpoint from their perspective on probably delaying or canceling creating more phones.
We'll have to see. I think it's interesting also the idea of creating a gaming phone that has obviously been tried over and over again, but Razer seems to have gotten it somewhat right. I mean, I've been looking at some of the reviews. Some people don't really like the Razer phones and really love it, but I feel like it's the best attempt at a gaming phone so far.
Yeah, I mean, I know that was it Asus made the Republic of Gamers gaming phone, and they had all of these peripherals on it, so to where it was like a Switch device almost. And I've heard good things about that one as well, but that one is, I think, very costly. And I feel like Razer kind of did the good line between, not being too pricey, but also giving us, all the stuff that gamers really kind of want in a gaming phone.
Yeah.
So it is kind of disheartening to hear that, they're being, what is it? What's the word I'm thinking of? They're just being a little skeptical about creating more phones. Cause I mean, if the hardware's there, the software might just need to catch up.
Yeah. And the games, which I mean, that's software as well, but I mean, both the operating system and the games have to catch up. I don't know if there's a need for a gaming phone. I guess that's and I hope I'm not offending you here since you've got the Razer phone.
No, I totally get it.
I'm constantly thinking, like, is there even a need for a gaming-specific phone out there? I mean, yes, 120 hertz refresh rate is, like, that's nice, but if games don't utilize it,
I mean, exactly. Yeah. And that's very true. Yeah, there's very few games I play. Like I said, I like the Razer phone, but there is very few games that and there's some games when I turn that refresh rate on, the game plays even worse. So I end up not using it half the time. So there's that aspect too. And even nowadays, so like, let's say the Galaxy S10, I think was just released, right?
Yes.
And that thing has, a better processor than my Razer phone does. A better, everything is better because every year they have it.
I mean, it's exactly. It's just brand new.
Games essentially are probably playing better on that phone than they would on mine.
Probably.
So, and that's not even a gaming centric phone, I guess. That's just a phone for people to use.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a good question to bring up. Does the market even need gaming smartphones? I would like it to need it. I would like it to be a thing, but if we're thinking realistically, I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not. I think that's my stance as well, but I mean, I could end up buying the Razer phone in about a year from now. I'll probably have to buy a new phone just to be able to record videos without too much lag. I've already experienced that with the Elder Scrolls, so I think probably from now on and for the next year, I'm going to see more lag in games on my Samsung Galaxy S8. So I might have to update in about a year from now. So either the Samsung Galaxy S11, which I guess is going to be the name, or maybe, a new Razer phone or a new gaming smartphone. I don't know.
Yeah, so, if Razer makes a Razer 3, I think that might be a good choice, but we'll have to wait and see.
Or maybe we just buy an old Nokia phone and then we use Google Stadia. Google Stadia, which is kind of the next news we wanted to talk about Google Stadia.
Good segue.
Yes, yeah, right? I know, right? But yeah, Google Stadia really got me excited. It got me concerned about some things, but mostly though, I'm just excited about it. I don't want to be the naysayer here. Like I love new technology. I would love to see how it actually works out in practice. I mean, especially since I'm in Denmark here, and I know that Google has servers everywhere at this point, all over the world, but I am still concerned about lag and delays.
Yeah.
But I mean,
For those who don't know, the Google Stadia, they announced it at GDC, is basically a streaming service for games. So think of it as Netflix for games. And you basically can stream your video games from any device, whether it be a phone, a computer, a TV. You connect a Bluetooth controller and you're gaming. And this is like real gaming. Like, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that because mobile gaming isn't not necessarily real gaming. But this is like you're playing Assassin's Creed.
I know what
Odyssey
you mean. Yeah, I think people know what you mean. Like this is like AAA, really.
There you go.
Super impressive games that require really powerful hardware, more powerful than what we're able to pack into a phone at this point. Which means essentially, I guess we're talking about PC games. Like PC games played on any screen, and that's Google Stadia's promise is that you'll be able to play it on an older, desktop PC, a Mac, Linux, a smartphone, your TV. Doesn't really matter. Like any screen that has some sort of capability of opening Google Chrome, I guess.
I mean, internet, an internet connection or whatnot. Yeah,
we'll be able to run this. They did a test back in late 2018 where they did a test with Ubisoft, I think, Assassin's Creed, the new Assassin's Creed game,
Assassin's Creed,
where people were able to run that in their browsers on a PC, like just super smoothly. I mean, it only takes a PC. If you're able to stream Netflix, you should be able to play even the most hardcore, like really high-performing PC games. And that's, of course, really exciting. Now, one rumor I loved was that it might actually be completely free to use. So you mentioned Netflix as sort of a comparison, but I've heard the rumor that maybe it's going to be completely free. There's going to be no subscription. You're just going to have to, of course, pay for the games you buy, just like you do on Steam, or I guess maybe some people still buy physical games. I don't know, but So you're gonna just have to buy them individually, which means you would have to rebuy the games if you already own them on Steam. You probably wouldn't be able to sort of just move those over to Google Stadia. But that's interesting. I think if they're gonna make it free, if they're gonna be able to do that, obviously they're probably gonna be at a loss then. But it's Google. I mean, it's Google. Yeah. I don't think they necessarily care about that. I think everyone sees this as such a huge potential market opportunity. Well, market in the future, so there's an opportunity right now. And so I think they may just want to be the first movers.
My concern, I think, comes from probably two things. The first thing is I was expecting it to be a monthly subscription at first. And if it was a monthly subscription, I would have been okay with, let's say, $15 a month, but you can play like any game that's on there. And now that the rumors here that it might be free, I like that idea as well. But then, like you said, paying for each game might be an issue, because let's think of it like this. Nowadays, we pay a game, we own the game necessarily, right? We can go buy a physical copy, or even if we buy it on Steam, I guess you don't really own it because it's on Steam. At this point, you're either going to be rebuying games or just maybe buying the new games that you don't have. So my only other concern with it is, like you said, the internet connection. Not everybody's going to have that super duper internet connection to where they can like play the game at a good frame rate. So that kind of worries me. So I'm wondering how they're going to get past that.
It's a good point, but I don't think Google Stadia is for everyone. I think it's for a certain group.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's for a certain group of gamers. If you think about it, the people who already have really powerful PCs, they don't really care about Google Stadia. I mean, why should you? I mean, if you have the necessary funds, if you have the money to go out and buy a really expensive gaming PC, well, it doesn't have to be expensive. Just a really good one, which typically means it's expensive. So if you have the funds to do that, I think those people are still going to do that, because then you're going to avoid any sort of input lag, or like, well, not input lag, but any delay from the server whatsoever. But I think there's another group of people who don't necessarily have the funds, or they don't want to spend the money required to buy an expensive gaming rig, and having to upgrade that is expensive as well. So I think for those people, and as long as they then have a good internet connection, that's sort of the target group. I do agree with you, of course, people have to have a good internet connection. I recently got fiber here at home, a fiber connection. Upgrading from those old copper. I guess it's copper they used in the past. Yeah, upgrading to fiber.
I thought you were going to say dial-up at first.
No, not dial-up. No. But like just But we're gonna get on fiber, which essentially means that we'll be able to like get potentially gigabit connections, right?
Yeah,
if we wanted to.
The fiber connections are really good.
Yeah, so if I wanted to pay for that, I could get that. It is still rather expensive here in Denmark, but I could pay for that if I wanted to. And so my point is, I could kind of see myself maybe using Google Stadia, because I don't have an expensive gaming computer anymore. I did back in 2007, 8, 9. I used to play a lot of PC games. I don't anymore. I just play mobile games these days. But it would be kind of interesting to be able to play on my smartphone, or even play on my old laptop. Being able to play, AAA new games again. I'm kind of excited about that. And you don't have to use the controller. There is a Google Stadia controller, but you don't have to use that one. You can also just use the keyboard. Keyboard or mouse, or any other Bluetooth controller should work just fine as well. Now, the Google Stadia controller, I saw this during the announcement, and that's so exciting, is that the Google Stadia controller actually, it doesn't connect to your computer or to your smartphone. It connects directly via Wi-Fi to the server.
Yep.
So there's going to be less input lag from like the Bluetooth connection.
And you make a good point, though. You're right. It seems like it's designated for a certain market, a certain type of person in a certain type of, I guess, situation. And when you say it like that, you're right. It does seem very appealing. It's definitely something I want to try, even if it's not geared toward me. I'm curious to see how it plays out. Like you said, it would be nice to play on any screen.
I would love that.
That would take toilet time gaming to the next level. I'm gonna be on the toilet for like hours if Google Stadia works right on my phone.
Playing GTA 5 or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, the wives could be like, "What are you doing in there so long?"
Yeah,
I'm robbing banks.
Exactly. No, listen, it's interesting. I don't know how the tech will actually work out. I'm guessing since they're ready to roll it out this year already, it is coming here in 2019. So since they're ready, I assume they're ready. I assume it works. Yeah. I assume it works pretty smoothly. And I assume that for people with a 25 megabit and above connection, I think that's what they said. 25 megabit upload and download is kind of the minimum for when Google said that it would be a smooth experience. So I do realize a lot of people don't have that connection. I don't even have that right now, right? Because the fiber hasn't been installed yet. So I have to wait a bit before I can do that. But pretty soon I will be able to, and I think that holds true for a lot of people. And also 5G. Let's not forget 5G. 5G is coming out.
Yep. 5G is coming out.
Yeah. And so with 5G, you can get these insane connection speeds. So maybe you don't even need the cables in the ground anymore. You can just
I've heard rumors that some people are basically going to get rid of their actual connected internet and just go with 5G. So apparently you can just get a device that runs 5G, put it in your house, and Wi-Fi everything to that. And apparently it's supposed to run speeds that are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how that comes out too.
I think we're just waiting for it. It's gonna make mobile gaming so much better as well, I guess. But my concern is that 4G had worse coverage than 3G. Like you needed more towers closer to you.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's the same for 5G. We're getting into the territory where I really don't know what I'm talking about at this point, but I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to the new technology. I'm looking forward to Google Stadia. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm just going to go with a wild guess here, and I think the rumors are true. I think it is going to be free, because if you had to actually pay a monthly subscription for Google Stadia, if you had to actually cover the costs of their servers, it would be insanely expensive. I've seen other game streaming services in the past, and some of them charged you, per hour, because you're using their servers per hour or per day or per month. But if it was, per month and you could use it as much as you wanted, you typically paid, if I remember correctly, it sounds crazy, I know, but these prices were like $80, $90, $100 per month, because that's the actual price of running, expensive servers with good GPUs, unless you're Google, of course. But this was a startup, and so this was without even having the games on there. This was just the server. This was just the hardware, not the actual games. So this was not a Netflix-like service. You were just paying for the servers. And that's why I think if Google really wanted to make the money back on the servers, it would be really expensive, and the subscription would have to reflect that if they wanted to make the money back. So I think they're going for sort of a more long-term strategy. That's going to be my guess, at least. I think it's going to be free.
And it's funny, by you talking about that, it made me start thinking, here in the States, we have certain internet providers that have caps on on the speeds, or on how much you can use per month or whatnot. So essentially, if you have a provider that has it to where okay, you have a 1,000 gig cap per month or whatnot, and after that you won't have internet, or you will have slowed internet, that could potentially cause an issue for somebody using the Google Stadia, because if you're streaming, I mean, you're probably streaming, like you said, hundreds of gigs per whatever length of time you play. So I am curious to see how that plays into effect, but that's more of an issue with the States. I don't know what other internet providers provide, if they put caps or anything.
I think
we
that's
have a weird internet.
It's kind of weird. Looking at it from the outside.
Regulatory whatever internet. So I'm just kind of hopefully that won't be an issue as well, because when I log on to my internet provider, it says you've used 200 gigs of your 1,000 gigs available.
Which is so stupid. I mean, it's just a completely artificial limit. I mean, there's why? I mean, we don't have that here in Denmark. We've never had that here in Denmark. Never anything like that. And when I first started hearing about those issues in the US, I guess was when YouTube really started booming, 2000 and, I think YouTube started 2005, 2006, but when it really started booming around 9, 10, 11, that period of time when a lot of people started playing computer games and making videos about that on YouTube. During that period, I heard about some of the biggest YouTubers. They needed multiple internet connections from different providers just to be able to have enough upload, enough bandwidth to be able to upload all the videos, which just seems crazy.
It's definitely a thing, and it's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But I don't know the details of it. I think it has something to do with some type of government stuff or regulatory stuff, but it does concern me when it comes to streaming or whatnot. I never reach my cap. I'm usually pretty good about it, because it's going to take me a long time to get 1,000 gigs per month. But my worry is that
exactly. Yeah.
My worry is that Google Stadia is going to come out, and I'm going to be like, oh no. But yeah, so that's where we're at with that.
Yeah. I think that's enough for now. Let's wrap that off. If people still have some questions about Google Stadia, feel free to leave those in the comment section. Also, I think it would be great to hear, do you guys think that it's going to be free? Do you think it's going to be a subscription? We don't know. Nobody knows at this point. Google hasn't said anything. Let me just be clear about that. This is all just rumors, so we don't really know yet. But let's get to it, though. I think let's wrap that part up. Let's get to the Elder Scrolls Blades. There's been so much news about that game recently.
Dun, dun,
people,
dun.
People like to hate on it, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those games.
I kind of hated on it a tiny bit as well. In my video on it, there was a couple of things I didn't like. It didn't run smoothly on my phone, and I know that it ran smoothly on other phones, but I kind of had to talk about my experience of the game, which wasn't that great because it was so laggy and it's kind of glitchy. It didn't feel like a finished game, which I guess Bethesda is kind of known for at this point, also on PC. Their games are sometimes complete wrecks when they release. But with that said, though, I'm getting negative already. I know that you actually do enjoy the game, right? To some extent, and I did as well, by the way. But I know that you were maybe a bit more glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah. So I came into Elder Scrolls Blades not expecting it to be anything more than what it kind of is. And I guess with that perspective, I came out with it with more of a positive experience. Don't get me wrong, though. I see that there's a lot of negatives with it. I definitely see that there's some lag issues. I mean, I had some lag issues as well, some glitchy type issues. And I think you might have mentioned before, Nimble, the graphics are not as great as they perceive them to be. I feel like they kind of hyped up, oh yeah, the graphics are so good. But when you actually play it, it's not that. So I could see where everyone, where the negativity and the hate comes from. But my biggest thing was, I guess, the monetization. So I didn't hark on the monetization too bad when I reviewed it. The more I play it, I do see that there is some pay to win type scenarios there. I guess my biggest thing was a lot of people were hating on it and giving it a lot of hate. And then I guess my concern is I think we might need to keep our expectations of what these developers are doing probably to a minimum. I knew right off the bat once it was Bethesda and it's Elder Scrolls and it's free to play. Once they use the word free, I knew that okay, they're gonna monetize the heck out of this thing. Now, would it have benefited if it was a premium game? I think maybe.
Yeah,
I think if they would have tweaked some things, it probably would have been better in the sense of, that part.
Yeah, I don't think Bethesda would do that, though. But I do agree with you. It would have probably been better, but they would make less money. And that's just, it comes down to economics, and it's a business decision, ultimately. Like, making a premium game, like it or hate it, it's just not worth it. I mean, because you can make a mobile game, you can make a free-to-play mobile game, and you can earn so much more money, potentially.
And that's why they do it. These AAA developers or whatnot.
They go where the money is, and it just makes sense from a business perspective, of course.
Yeah.
And listen,
so from my
go ahead. Okay. Well, listen, I like free to play games. I know that comes with loot boxes sometimes. I know that sometimes comes with monetization that's a bit too unfair. Like, it's a bit too much pay to win. In some cases, though, the implementation of even loot boxes. I mentioned Tiny Gladiators 2 before, right? And I really like that game because I don't feel like I'm at a huge disadvantage when I don't buy the loot boxes, when I don't buy the in-app purchases. But I just feel like in the Elder Scrolls Blades, I would pretty quickly be at a huge disadvantage if I don't buy those legendary loot boxes, because when I played the game, if you play the game, what you realize is that you can get all your new equipment just from those loot boxes, and you can just keep buying the loot boxes, and you'd have essentially like the winning equipment, right? And you'd be able to level it up as much as possible. And so what I like about some games is that they allow me to unlock stuff through a gacha or through a loot box system, but I can't upgrade it. But I think in the Elder Scrolls Blades, you can also upgrade stuff, if I remember correctly. And I don't know.
That's the thing that they did, though, that, like you said, I do agree when the way they did some of their loot boxes to where you're getting your armor, you're getting your weapons that are high value. You got to make sure it's like a gold chest if you want to get the best of the best. And then when you're playing the quest, they'll have like skulls for difficulty, right? Yeah. So if the difficulty is super duper high, which I'm running into right now, there's no way you're going to possibly beat that level. So I did myself a little test, and I basically went into this high level area where I'm a low level guy and tried to see if I can beat it. It's possible, but there's a big, air quotes on the whole possibility of it. If you're playing smart, if you're making sure you have health potions, it can be done. But there is that stigma of, oh, this is pay to win, because essentially it kind of is. So my biggest thing when I, after I did the review and I started, so I don't read reviews of games before I review them.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, I tend to stay away. I want to judge it for myself. So after I got done with the video, I went back and I started reading stuff, and I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of hate here. And I'm like, people are going to think I'm a freaking shill or something because I'm over here saying,
I know the feeling though. I know the feeling. Yeah. I've been there. I've done that for other games as well. It's like, oh, I like this. And then apparently people hated it. I was like, oh, wait.
So that was the position I was in after. Yeah. So that's why I was kind of talking with the community, some of my subscribers about it, about, what do you guys think of it? Did you expect it to be different? This and that. And so I got like some mixed views on it, I guess. I enjoyed it for what it is. So I guess that's kind of like a glass half full type of person, like you said. I enjoyed it for what it is, but I definitely see that this is another example of, AAA developers basically seeing the mobile free-to-play market and being like, oh, we can do this and this. Money. Yeah, and it happens so much.
Oh, we're going to get demonetized now. No. What did I just do? I sang an ABBA song. No. Sorry.
No, it was less than 30 seconds. I think you're fine.
Yeah, that doesn't matter though. Like, people are getting demonetized for just like mentioning even Mr. Beast. You know Mr. Beast on YouTube? Mr. Beast?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I had to think about it.
Yeah, but Mr. Beast, so he got one of his videos claimed like demonetized simply because he said 3 letters from a song. I'm not going to mention it here because I don't want to get demonetized, but he mentioned just 3 words, not letters, sorry, 3 words from a song. He didn't sing it. He just said those words after each other.
No way.
No, this is true. He talked about this on, I think, the H3H3 podcast. and he got demonetized because of that.
Oh, that's just crazy.
And
that's being too strict.
Of course it's too strict, and of course you can appeal it, but you have to go through the appeal process, and it's a process. Anyway, sorry, I completely cut you off there. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Just whatever you do, don't say 3 words from a song.
Don't say 3 words from a song. That might be a song already. What am I doing? Anyway.
Yeah, that could be a song.
Yeah, that could have been a song. But okay, so listen, like I sorry for completely cutting you off there, but the Elder Scrolls, I do like the gameplay as well. Like, to some extent, some of it is fun. I just feel like I'm probably not gonna play the game anymore. Like, the monetization kind of put me off a bit too much, and it kind of just demotivated me.
Yeah, it's very aggressive. The monetization can be very aggressive. I mean, I'm hoping that it's early access and they tweak some things. I'm hoping for better optimization.
Yeah.
Will they tweak the monetization? I doubt it.
Listen, if they're gonna tweak the monetization, it's gonna be for the worst. Like, you rarely ever see a game leaving early access and then being like, you know what, guys? I feel like we've earned enough. I mean, at this point, we should probably just
I feel like we earned enough. Let's give them more in their chest now and not
things you never hear. Yeah, things you never hear business people say. But listen, there's another game though. There's another game coming up this summer, 2019. I'm so hyped for this. It's Mario Kart Mobile, and by Nintendo, obviously. And I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be great. I recently played another kart racer called Starlit on Wheels. It's not that fantastic, so I mean, you can go watch my video on it. That was a great sell of the video, wasn't it? but
you're doing really good at selling the video.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to do more of that.
It's a bad video, but go watch it. No, I hope it's a fun video, but the game isn't perfect though. It's okay, and it's something you could play until Mario Kart releases. But I'm really hoping Mario Kart will be amazing. And this leads kind of what we talked about before already. I mean, free to play versus premium. Do you think Mario Kart is? I think it's going to be free. I don't know if that has been announced yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be free to play. But I don't know. Do you know?
So, I mean, I know Nintendo, they tried to do it to where they would do premium games. So that Mario Run game was a game you would pay for. And they didn't have much success with it. So I feel like this one will probably be a free-to-play one. Yeah. So recently I played, Beach Buggy Racing? Yes. That's another kart racing game. Yeah. I think I played the second one. So there's a few kart racers on the market right now. So it can be done in a free-to-play way. But I'm just hoping that Nintendo doesn't pull an Elder Scrolls, since we just got done talking about that, and make it to where it's so extreme.
Yeah, Let's hope not.
Yeah, maybe stickers on your cars, customization
stuff like that.
Of cars.
Obviously, I mean, go the Fortnite way, go the PUBG Mobile way, cosmetics, right? Go nuts with that. Like, you utilize your entire Nintendo brand and IPs and characters. Utilize that to create a but make it multiplayer. By the way, that's my number one thing. Make it multiplayer. There are no multiplayer kart races on mobile right now, as far as I know.
Yeah, not real multiplayer.
Not real multiplayer. Like real, make it real-time multiplayer.
Yeah, real time. There you go. We have a discussion on whether it's bots or ghosts or something along those lines. But yes, let me be able to sit next to somebody and play with them, or a friend who's somewhere else.
But here's my question though: will they do that? Because they want people to go buy Nintendo Switches and play Mario Kart 8 or whatever. I think it's Mario Kart 8, right? I think that's the one we have. Yeah. So they want people to go play that. This is what I heard, by the way, in an article as well, was that, so these are not my original thoughts, but it just really resonated very well with me, that Nintendo has a couple of different ways of thinking about mobile games. So there's some mobile games where they want to make money off of. There's some where they just want to expand their brand and they want people to go play the full game on other devices, like on Nintendo-owned devices, on Nintendo-owned hardware, which would be at this point pretty much just the Switch. And so people have been speculating that the Mario Kart mobile game won't be as fully fledged of a game because they want people to go to the console version. Like they want people to go buy the Switch. So this is purely a sort of quote unquote branding game. Of course, it has to be a great game so that people want to play it on mobile.
This is fun.
Yeah,
I'll go play the real version.
Exactly. And that's why rumor has it that it's going to be free, because obviously if you want to expand your audience, you should just make a free game. And this is also, I think, what might be saving the game, end up saving the game on mobile, is that if they're not making the game to make money, that could be a really great thing for us consumers, because there is a chance that Mario Kart Mobile is going to have multiplayer, that it's going to be free to play, and that it doesn't have any pay to win, because they just want you to have a really awesome experience, and they want you to go, buy the Switch and buy Mario Kart 8. And just
use the game as like an advertising game almost.
And that would be so great. As long as it's still a fun game, which I think it is, because Nintendo is, like this is one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, by the way. Like for the people who don't know, I guess some people haven't played Nintendo games maybe ever. But if you haven't even heard about, obviously you've heard about Nintendo, but if you don't know too much about their games, this is one of the biggest ones. Like this is one of the really big IPs, and they definitely don't want to screw it up. Obviously, The Elder Scrolls is a big IP, but for Bethesda as well, but Bethesda has more of a money. Oh, I said it again. Money. Anyway, they have more of a money. That was another song. They have, they just want to make money. I guess that's what I'm getting at. But Nintendo is kind of weird. Sometimes you see Nintendo making a move where it's like, well, that didn't make financial sense, but cool.
Yeah, I feel like they might be a little bit smarter too, because they've already released a few mobile games, and they've had some hit or miss successes with them. And this one they actually pushed back. They delayed it. It was supposed to, I think, come out already by now. And the fact that they delayed it, to me, is hopeful. A lot of people think a delay is something that can be seen as a negative. I almost see it as, okay, maybe they saw something and they're like, let's do this differently and let's do this. And hopefully that let's do this was for the better. Because rumor has it they are working on a Zelda game for mobile as well.
I didn't know that, really?
Yeah, that's another big IP of theirs
that they're so great.
Thinking of. Yeah, and I'm hoping it's old school top-down Zelda, which would be awesome. So we'll see how that goes. But my thing is, if they release this game or a Zelda game, would they be better as premium? Like you said, I'm not sure, because like you said, we want to push people to the Switch market.
Yeah, I mean,
but a Zelda premium game would be awesome. But a Zelda RPG game as a free-to-play, I've played some free-to-play games that are like RPG games, and they're not always, done with such care.
That's true. I don't think it would do better as a premium game just because of the fact that it's multiplayer. Well, it's not a fact. I'm just hoping that it's going to be multiplayer. And in case it's multiplayer, I want it to be free-to-play. Because, I mean, obviously you want as many players as possible. That makes for the best multiplayer game. So I want it to be free to play if it has multiplayer. If it doesn't have multiplayer, I'm overall less excited about it. And in that case, it could be premium. I don't really care at that point, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just want it to be multiplayer. And in that case, I want it to be free to play.
Yep. So I look forward for it to this summer so we can hopefully play it. And if it's multiplayer, we can play it together.
Yes, that would be so great. And we should definitely do that. And we're definitely going to touch base on this game again, Mario Kart Mobile, in one of the next episodes of the podcast, hopefully, when we have more news. Sure. But there's one more news, actually. There's one more news that we both nearly forgot about, I think. Apple Arcade. Apple Arcade was announced as well. Apple Arcade is kind of what... let me just pitch it. It's a subscription service. This is actually a subscription service. So you pay a monthly fee, and you have access to all of these games, which would otherwise... most of them, I think, be premium games. They're only playable on iOS devices, obviously, since it's Apple paying for the exclusivity of these games. And so that was kind of the pitch Apple came with at their recent conference, is that Apple Arcade is going to be premium mobile games on a monthly subscription where you have access to all of them, and you can play them as much as you want. And they're going to pay developers to make games exclusively for Apple Arcade. So
I think one of the developers is Sega. I think Sega's
one of the developers is Sega. They got some really big names. They paid a lot of money, I think, presumably, to get some of those big developers to release for Apple Arcade, because with a monthly subscription as the only business model, those money, that money coming in from that subscription will have to be split across a lot of different games. So I think they paid Sega quite a bit outside of that revenue split, probably. This is just speculation, though, but it would make sense. And I know that they are paying other developers. They are paying indie developers to make games specifically for the Apple Arcade. So here are my thoughts, and I'll throw it over to you, Tiny. But my thoughts on Apple Arcade are kind of negative. And I not that I want to, this is not a war against Apple, iOS and Android, by the way. I don't really care. I see mobile gaming as one big industry overall. I don't care too much about Apple versus Google or Android versus iOS. But here's the thing I want to say, though. When you start paying for exclusivity, that's a very anti-consumer move. You pay someone to not make the game available to as many people as possible, which I think is the wrong direction. This is not the direction the industry should move in, I think. But maybe I'm wrong, though. And this is where I kind of want to throw it over to you, but because you could make the counter argument that this is going to see the return of games without loot boxes, without the bad things of free to play, right?
Yeah, see, so that was my initial thought when I first, heard this. I was like, okay, so they're focusing on premium games. These are games without loot boxes. These are full blown, a game that you start and a game that you finish, which is rare in the mobile market today. You don't really have a game where there's a beginning, middle, and end. You have a game where there's a beginning and a middle. And you just play that middle of the game forever.
Yeah.
So I've always been a huge proponent of premium games. I always think, I always feel like companies should start doing more premium mobile games. There's a few on Android that are worth your money. There's a few that probably aren't. So I do like that aspect of it, like you said. But again, the whole part of it being exclusive does kind of, put a little tinge in it. I mean, the same thing can be said about, there's this whole thing going on with the Epic Game Store and Steam. Epic Game Store released their launcher and they want to compete with Steam. Well, what they did is they freaking reach out to all these developers and had these developers come over to them, for exclusive deals and rights. And the Epic Game Store I've used it, and it's not as good as the Steam Store. There's no achievements. There's no, certain things that you can have. So a lot of people are upset about that. So I can see this as being somewhat similar. If anything, I would like to see Google say, you know what, you want to do that? Let's do it too. And then have an exclusive Android one. But they're focusing on Stadia, so I don't see them doing
Stadia.
Yeah,
so here's
I don't
the thing.
see them doing that.
I see, and again, I really don't want to defend Google, right? But Stadia, I think, is the right way of doing it. They're saying, listen, it doesn't matter what device you want. It doesn't matter what operating system you use. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a screen, you can play these games anywhere. Like, you can play it on any device. And that's kind of the opposite.
You can play it on an Apple.
Yeah, you can play it on an Apple device. This is, and again, this is not me defending Google, but I'm just using that. In this case, I think they got something right. Google definitely gets a lot wrong as well. But in this case, I feel like they got some things right, which is, they want to go cross-platform, right? And this is the opposite of cross-platform.
This is staying in your own ecosystem. I mean, and again, Apple has always been that way. They've always been, the Apple ecosystem, iTunes, get it on your Apple, iWatch, get it on your Apple, all that stuff. So this is like a continuation, I think, of their model of, stick with Apple and you'll have, all this awesome stuff. So from a business perspective, I get it. I see where they're going with it. But like you said, for of a consumer or a anti-consumer, I guess is what, it would be. Yeah, it does kind of alienate other prospective people. I mean, you can get a whole bunch more money if you made arcade available on the Android Play Store, let's say, or something along those lines. That's a whole nother market.
I have another question, though. Don't many people who prefer premium games, don't they also, to some extent, like premium games because they feel like, at least now I kind of own that game, like quote-unquote own it. I don't actually own it, but I do. In some cases, I will be able to play the game, even if the game is actually taken away from the stores, right? Unless I switch to a new device. But with Apple Arcade, you're just kind of renting the games. We're going back to that again, which some people might not like. I don't know. I don't know what to really think about Apple Arcade. It's fancy technology. Not fancy technology, a fancy business model if it works out, and I hope it works out for them. But I just think it's an anti-consumer move. And here's a good example of that. Is that Oceanhorn 2, which is a Legend of Zelda. That. Yes, this is so horrible. This is a Legend of Zelda-like game. It's really awesome, by the way. I played the first one. It was great. Yep. The second one looks even better. The graphics look amazing. For mobile, it has a certain style, but within that style, it looks really, really great. And now, this was supposed to come out on Android and on iOS, and now it has been announced that it's going to be exclusive, not just for iOS, but exclusive for the Apple Arcade. So even if you're on iOS and you don't plan to buy into the Apple Arcade, apparently you're not going to be able to play Oceanhorn 2, which was a really highly anticipated game, and I was so sad to see that. And that's what I mean with anti-consumer move. Like, I don't like it. I don't know what to say.
It's funny you brought that up because that is a perfect example. I didn't even think of that. I totally forgot that they did that. And yeah, Oceanhorn was supposed to come out on Android. I was looking forward to it because, like you said, I played the first one. It was great. I was so looking forward to the second one, and then I hear that, and I'm like, oh wow, I don't think I'll ever get to play that game now. I mean, I don't have Apple devices. I used to have an Apple device, but that thing is not working correctly. So I'm just kind of like, oh man, I won't be able to play. Do we know if it's a timed exclusive or is it just exclusive?
I would like to think that it's a timed exclusive, but
I would hope,
but we don't know anything about that yet. But if it is a timed exclusive, I would expect that within 6 months, we would get it on Android and on normal, quote unquote, normal iOS, like outside of Apple Arcade. I assume that like 6 months is typically the timed exclusive deadline or the timeline for a timed exclusive.
6 months to a year. Sometimes
6 months to a year.
Do it a year. Yeah.
But hopefully just 6 months, because I'm really looking forward to play the game, and I don't intend to buy. So this is okay. So probably Apple is hoping, first of all, that people who own iOS devices will buy Apple Arcade if they keep paying for exclusivity, and that's probably gonna work. Sadly, it is probably gonna work. And then I think to a larger extent, they're also hoping that Android people will move over to an Apple device just to play those exclusives.
Just to play those exclusive games. Yep. I mean, that's the whole reason behind the exclusivity. Is for them to do that, is to get people come over. Same thing with Xbox, PlayStation. You know, they release their exclusive games.
Yeah, but I don't want that console war. Like, I don't want that console war on mobile.
I know. I'm the same way. Yeah, I honestly think that sometimes it's good. You get great games out of it. You know, I played God of War and I love that game. You can only get it on PlayStation. But then I feel bad for people who are like, I can't afford 2 systems. You know, I got an Xbox and now I can't play this awesome game. I do think there needs to be some more, I guess, I don't know, everybody coming together type of thing. But it's business. So, you know, they're going to do it.
Of course they are. Yeah, and it's probably good business. But listen, let's try wrapping it up here. I think that's about it for what we had planned to talk about. I mean, if you, as I mentioned in the beginning, congratulations, by the way, if you made it till the end of this. This is getting close to an hour at this point, I think. But as I mentioned in the beginning,
we thought it would be.
Longer than we thought it would be, actually. But I liked it, though. It was a very enjoyable conversation. So thank you, Tiny. And the next episode is gonna go up on Tiny Little Games channel. So I said it in the beginning, I'll say it again. Go subscribe, go hit that notification bell on his channel. There's a chance that you're coming from Tiny Little Games channel though, and in that case, feel free to subscribe here as well.
You got to do the self-promotion.
Yeah, I gotta do the self-promotion. Okay, it's like no. I think a good chunk of people follow both you and me, I think, and that's super cool.
We have some overlap.
I think there's some overlap. But yeah, in case you're new here, I cover a new mobile game from Monday till Friday, so it's not, it's a bit more raw, and I just sit down and I record and I play the game, and I rant about it or talk about it or ramble about it. That was the word I was looking for. Not necessarily rant. I don't rant about every game, by the way, don't worry. I will do that sometimes, but yeah. And Tiny Little Games does some absolutely stellar videos as well. I'm so jealous, by the way. I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. He gets more views. He gets more views than me. And
oh no.
Yeah, he does. And that's not good. No, I'm kidding. It's perfect. Listen.
No, I think if it averages out, we get about the same. Yeah, you have more videos that post, so you
and to be honest, it doesn't really matter what I like the most, and I think you're the same. It's just the interaction with people. Like when we post, I know you post over on Android gaming as well sometimes, or iOS gaming, and like the interaction with people, and here on YouTube as well, of course, is just it's just really amazing. So listen, go follow us if you want to. We hope to do the next episode in about a month from now. If you have suggestions, and I said this before as well, but make sure to leave those in the comment section. Also, if you have any questions, just for me and Tiny, we'll try in the next episode then to answer those questions as one new segment. And if you have ideas for new segments or new news pieces, new games we should talk about, anything really, just leave that down there, because ultimately, I mean, we just want to sit down and have a fun conversation every month and talk about mobile games. So any ideas, leave them down there. That's really appreciated. Anything else, Tiny? I think we covered pretty much everything.
There's nothing else I could think about. Thanks everybody for joining us. This was awesome, fun experience. We plan to do more. We'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.